everyone, welcome back to the channel. Firstly, apologies, it's been a very long time since I last done my last video. I think it's been a few months. Life in general has been extremely busy and the cars have had some time off the road. So a quick update on the cars in general. If you remember in the last video, I mentioned the 159 was overheating. It started to the temperature was rising just as I got on the motorway. That was the start of a series of events. So firstly we had the overheating issue, which at the time I figured it was potentially the thermostat because it was retaining the coolant. So it went in for investigation. It turns out it was the thermostat. So firstly we got that replaced. All seemed absolutely fine. Then got back in the car to go on another long journey, and then as soon as we got onto a dual carriageway or motorway with the new thermostat, as soon as we hit 70 mile an hour and just cruising, the temperature then dropped back down to 0, which instantly I think, is the thermostat stuck open or is it another issue? It turns out the thermostat was getting stuck open, so the one that went in was effectively faulty again, so that had to then go back in to have that done again. So that's two issues basically from one event. And then following on from that, we then had to take the car in to get MOT. All good, everything was fine on the MOT. It needed some springs to be replaced, so had to get the springs all round. So all good, nice MOT, all done. But then got in the car the next morning after the car was dropped off, went out for a drive, put my foot on the brake and could hear loud grinding from the brakes when first using the brakes. So got that investigated. Turns out when they done the springs, I think they hammered it too hard and they cracked an ABS ring. So that created another issue off the back of that. So another thing to add to the list to get done. So, and then the GT went in for its MOT. That will come back clear, just oil leaks and nothing major on there. So that's kind of a quick update as to where we've been, the journey we've been on over the last few months outside of just normal life. So I figured today what I'll do is, as I've seen a few Alfas of this era popping up on kind of various other YouTube channels, we've got Auto Alex and Drivelife, they've got Carreras of this era, and then Car Throttle have got an online kind of documentation of the 159, so a live with a 159. So it got me thinking, is this era of this era of Alfa in general, the Brera, the 159, the Spider, are they becoming a car that is potentially going to be seen as cool to have, or is there going to be more demand to potentially pick one up second hand? Because obviously they don't make them new anymore. So I figured, if you are in the market to looking at an Alfa of this era, I figured, should you do a should you buy review? So I figured that's what I'm going to do today, is just a general overview of my experience in should you buy one. First on the list is Exclusivity, and I say that because you don't see many of them around, and they're quite interesting cars. So every time people come around to my house to do work, or I'm out in the street parking up, people always comment on the car. So it's an interesting car, it's a talking point. And I remember as a kid growing up, like my dad, he had awful cars, but as a kid growing up, it's your dad's car, it's a cool car, and he had some awful cars growing up. Austin Princess for one, it was a shit brown with a brown roof, brown interior. It was god awful, but it was my dad's car, it was cool to be picked up in. But then on the flip side, he had some cool cars. So Rover SD1, again in gold, I don't know what it was about brown and gold back then, but he had a Rover SD1, and again that was a cool car back in the late 80s, early 90s. And for me, I've got kids, I want them to grow up thinking I had cool cars, or their dad had a cool car, and for them to remember them as I do, but them not be awful. So I think that's what these are. They're talking points, they're interesting, they're different, and you don't see many of them out there. So as I mentioned in my first video with the 159, we've used this to cart the family up and down the country from a move, so we're constantly going down south, back down to where we used to live, back up to north where we live now. So that's a 400-mile round trip. Who's that? And you just don't see them. So from all those trips we do down south, I've maybe, you can probably count on both hands how many times I've seen another one of these or a Barrera on one of those journeys. So you definitely do not see many of them around. So Exclusivity, I think, is number one on the mark. Now, number two, let's look at the ULEZ compliance aspect. ULEZ is a kind of a hot topic in the world of motoring at the moment. It's a bit ridiculous, to be honest, but what happens if you live in a ULEZ friendly zone? Now, the petrol engines of these are both ULEZ friendly. So there you've got the 2.2 petrol, then you've got the 1.8 petrol. Of the two, if your budget can stretch to it, the one you want is the 1.8. It's more reliable, it's a newer engine, a bit more tunable, a little bit more power, more economical, and overall is a bit more reliable. So you can still drive around in a ULEZ area in a lovely looking car. Now, the sun has decided to come out. Now, if you don't live in a ULEZ friendly area, the one I would recommend going for is the 2.4 diesel. It is an absolute beast of an engine, 5-cylinder, it sounds cool, and the torque on it is ridiculous, and it shifts. So for me, if I was in the market for one of these again, I don't live in a ULEZ friendly zone, so for me I get the pick of the bunch. So I would go for the 2.4 diesel. Avoid the 3.2 like the plague. People look at the 3.2 in kind of the Alfas and think, oh my god, I can get an Italian V6. No, you can't. It's not an Italian V6. I think putting the V6 in one of these cars is sacrilege. Now, when I got my GT, I was looking at the 3.2 159, which again is a V6. Doesn't sound great, it's a bit lumpy. For me, the Busso all day long, that's what won it for me, hands down. The engine, just such a good engine. So avoid the 3.2 in this era, like the plague. It's not a good engine. Effectively, it's a Chrysler engine, I believe, if my memory serves me right. I could be wrong, I'm no genius. So yeah, avoid that. The two options for me, the 1.8 petrol, the 2.4 diesel, they're the two you want. Now, as we've spoke about budgets a little bit, let's talk about the costs. So, in terms of costs, you can pick up a 159 fairly cheap these days. You can pick up a 1.9 diesel for around 1,500 quid if you're not bothered about spec level, trim level, mileage, etc. Which isn't much money for the amount of car that you do actually get. Now, for the more desirable models, the 1.8 TBI, the petrol engines, you're going to pay a bit more of a premium for them. You're probably looking upwards of 5k for one of them, just purely because it is the newer engine, it's the more modern, and it is really the go-to. The 2.4 diesel, because of ULEZ, you can probably pick them up for anywhere from 3 to 5 grand for a half decent model. Now, for the spec I'm in, which is the 2.2 petrol with the TI trim, which is the highest spec within the range, you can pick one of these up for a fair, like, between 2,500 and 3,500, depending on mileage, which for the amount of car you get for the money is not bad at all. And to be honest, I paid 3,000 for this 6 years ago, and it's been worth every penny. As I said, I've not had many issues now, but if you are looking to buy one, do your checks, make sure you take it for a good test drive, give the underside a good look at. The era of this era of Alfa is renowned for having subframe issues, because the subframe is made of chocolate basically. So make sure you give the underside a good look at. When you do give it a good test drive, make sure there's no knocks and bangs. The engine mounts can kind of rot away, the suspension arms can rot away, so make sure you really do your checks and make sure it's got first place I would look at for a car like this is the owners clubs. So get yourself on Facebook, get yourself into the owners clubs. They have a specific marketplace for one of these for people selling them. And what you'll find with buying from the owners clubs is members within those owners clubs, they care for their cars more than they care for their children. Some probably more, to be honest. So you know the car is going to be taken care of. It's going to have everything done to it that needs to be done. So I think you can have confidence in the fact that you're buying a good car. Facebook Marketplace, again, you will find a lot on there, but make sure you do your checks. Make sure you check the reg place out on Car Vertical or whatever platform it is that you use. This isn't sponsored by Car Vertical, I'm just saying, make sure you do your checks. From a practicality perspective, this comes with everything that you need. I think the one issue that we do have, lack of cup holders. There is a little cubby hole there which you can't really get anything in, but from a practicality standpoint, this comes fully loaded. You've got auto headlights, auto window wipers, heated seats, heated leather seats, electronic seats, so moving back and forth, electric, memory seats, cooled cubby hole in there, which is quite useful on a hot summer's day. Got 5 seats. There's plenty of legroom in the back as well. So it is very, very well spec'd out, considering you think this car was 2007. So it is very hard. It's got automatic climate control, dual zone climate control as well. Electronic bifold, so mirrors that fold in. The boot as well is especially big. We'll have a look at that in a minute. So yeah, I mean, from a practicality, you've got everything that you need. The one thing you don't have is obviously Bluetooth audio. What you'd need to do is you need to upgrade the head unit, which is absolutely fine. This is what I've done here. They're inexpensive to do, and there's ones that specifically fit this model of car as well, so it looks like it's always been there. But yeah, from a practicality standpoint, you can't really grumble. You get everything that you need, air conditioning, the lot. So yeah, thumbs up for that. So if we look at the boot space is actually pretty big. Now, we're a family of 4, so two adults, 2 children and a dog. We recently went on holiday in this car. We managed to get 3 medium-sized suitcases in the back here, as well as a couple of cabin bags as well. So you can actually get quite a lot in the back of one of these. Not only that, we went camping, so we managed to get a 4-person tent, table, chairs, mini barbecue, as well as obviously all our luggage and bedding and stuff in the back, with no issues at all. So cabin space is pretty good. And if we look in the back there, a bit dirty, but plenty of leg room. Never see it's all in the back here, so yeah, pretty good. I mean, the looks for me, I mean, I've said this on one of my previous videos, this is one of the best looking cars on the road out there today. I think, given its age, I think that the design, I think, is timeless. I think if that rolled off the forecourt today, you still think it was a brand new car. So there we have it then. Should you buy an Alfa Romeo of this era? Should you buy an Alfa Romeo 159? I think the answer is yes, you should. Do due diligence, make sure you do the right checks, thoroughly test drive the car. I mean, for me, what's next on the channel? I've got a point of view video coming out on the GT, so just filming some country roads, having a blast around them in the GT. I've got a few road trips coming up with the Alfa Romeo Owners Club, so there's a few events penciled in for that. I'm looking to get some more content on the channel from kind of other cars that aren't just my own. So keep an eye out for that. If I can get anything on there, I will. But yeah, it's going to be a busy year. I hope to do more content. But yeah, please obviously like, subscribe, comment, give me some feedback. I'm still early in this journey. I want to know what I'm doing. Thanks, everyone.